This is a viewer request, and this was emailed to me, and I'm not sure if this person was okay with me revealing their name or not, so I again anonymize it using ChatGPT. And this is following a discussion that we had during my stream. I believe it was yesterday. We were talking about basically mortality, life and death, and the topic of Buddhism and how that relates to death came along. And after that conversation, got this email this morning. So the question is basically asking, um, I said yesterday I'm very content with my life and I have no problem with dying hypothetically, like right now, no regrets. But now, how does that really relate to external pressures against my life? Okay, so to read the full question, I have a question I'd like to pose to you. Does your commitment to your philosophy hinder your basic survival instincts? For example, consider the case of Epictetus, who was unjustly accused and faced the death penalty. He didn't defend himself because he seemed so content with his life that whether he lived or died appeared inconsequential to him, though I may not have the complete details of his story. So, if someone were to threaten your life, would you still strive to control your destiny as per your practice? Can you preserve your life even if you don't necessarily prioritize living over dying? Or is it more about overcoming the fear associated with the natural instincts, the insecurities, and egos that drive us to cling to life longer as if we deserve it? Theoretically, you and Epictetus seem to have reached a level of contentment and decisiveness in your lives where death wouldn't define the way you've lived. I hope this captures the essence of my query, though it might be a little unconvoluted. On a lighter note, if a zombie apocalypse were to occur, how do you think you'd respond? Okay, so let's go over this. Now, point number one. Um, I train martial arts, right? And I don't train just martial arts. I train jiu-jitsu, which is so interesting in this respect because one of the reasons why I found jiu-jitsu so interesting, well, it's physically fun to move your body and like do things with other people, right? It's a very tight contact sport and it just has a this like kinesthetic feeling that I don't really get from other sports. But what I find so interesting about jiu-jitsu is depending on your desire, you can go from complete gentle control where you don't even engage in a fight and you just control the person enough to get them to turn away and then you run. The that's absolutely one of the paths you can take, and then you can really scale it up. You go from non-confrontation to something like more controlled confrontation. So because you understand the body mechanics of leverage and everything, you can just subdue your opponent and not do anything. You just hold them in place until they calm down and they're in a like all their adrenaline is out and they're ready to talk it out and not fight about it with you. That's the next step. And then another step is like you can hold someone's arm or neck and threaten submission, right? Hey, if you don't like stop, I need to break your arm. Or if you don't stop, I am gonna put you to sleep. That's a total option that you can take. And there's a lot of cases where you just put the person to sleep and then run, get out. That's very encouraged because it's so much better than like owing hospital bills because you beat someone to pulp, right? And so the last step is actually you can literally end someone's life if you don't let go of the choke in time. If you hold on to it, enough of the blood gets obstructed, and then you're brain dead, and you're practically just dead. You can kill a person with jujitsu. So jujitsu is so fascinating because you get to control how much control and how far you want to take it. So, as I'm training this, of course, I think about this all the time. So suppose someone does come for my life, right? I'm really well equipped with the fact that 90% of the times I can fend for myself. Like, I'm not saying I'm like this hotshot, like, dude who's so strong. Like, I've rolled with so many different people. I've been training for like 4.5 years now. Um, I've rolled with so many people, smaller people, bigger people, thinner people, men, women, like muscular people, athletic people, like just heavy people, chunky people, like people with a lot of confidence and a lot of gas in their tank. I've just gone through so many different types of physical altercation, like controlled physical altercations with people that I know what I mean, I have control over the chaos, right? So that really helps because I can try to preserve my life and I can try to overcome the fear that's associated with the natural instincts because I'm so used to being crushed by another person because I'm so used to my arm being like seconds away from it being ripped apart. I'm so used to it that I know how to calmly collect myself and just continue with it. So now, with this awareness around my realistic abilities comes this sort of, again, peace. There's this sense of contentment. Okay, can I do something about this? Then I did, right? If it doesn't work and I lose my life, then okay, I tried my best and it's okay. But now, suppose this person has a gun and they want me to do something. Now, it that depends on context, right? Like, is this person threatening not just me but my family or people that I really want to protect? And in that case, like, my life is okay. I'm okay with my life ending, but my loved ones may not, right? So if I can do that for my loved ones, I would say that's a pretty worthy life, right? But now, if I obsess over my life and then I run for it, that's when death starts to control my life, right? Like the existence of my breath and my life starts to control my behavior. And like you're saying, I can see the possibilities. And of course, if I had the choice to not die, I'd love to not die. But if I see that it's like there's no point in arguing with it, suppose I have a cancer diagnosis. Suppose somebody actually comes with a gun after shooting other people. So like it's clearly evident that he can. Then of course I can try to not die, but then even if I do, I won't be like, oh, I should have blah 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 blah. Like there would be no remorse. And I can say that with 100% confidence because I really think about this a lot when I'm about to be choked out, when I'm about to, in meditation as I'm in this like frenzied state of like so much physical pain. These are thoughts that come along, and I've had these thoughts so many times, but it hasn't happened. But it hasn't happened yet, right? But at least I can say. The other thing that I want to offer you is there is a Buddhist lore about a king who went into the woods with his concubines. And while the king was doing hunting or whatever, a bunch of these ladies basically ventured out into woods to just to like hang around and do forest stuff. And in the forest there was a sage, and the sage was obviously awakened, right? He had attained the first knocking doors of nirvana. So the concubines started talking with the sage, and was like, "Hey, our life is horrible. We have this king, and we're forced to serve, and it sucks." And the sage, because like he's basically a life coach, gave them advice, and then awakened the eyes of the concubines, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's so great!" And then now, like the concubines were just going one by one, talking about their life problems, and then the sage was basically life coaching them, right? And then now the king, after his hunt, found the concubines talking with this monk, and the king was enraged. "Hey, you dare steal the woman of the king? Do you know who I am?" And the sage was like, I'm just a guy, in seeking of a, awakening." And then the king was like, "Oh yeah, you're so awakened? Then take this." Boom, chopped off his arm. And you would expect the sage to be like, "Oh my God, please, I'm sorry, I want." No, but the sage was like, "No, uh, that arm wasn't mine anyway. like it came from things that weren't me, and it was formed as a part of me, but then now that it left me, it's no longer a part of me. And the king demanded an apology. I want you to kneel. I want you to beg for your life. And the king's like, well, all I did was talk to people, and your ladies wanted some wisdom, and then that's all I did. And so I don't think I did anything wrong, so therefore I'm not gonna kneel for my life. And then, boom, chopped off another arm. And then the king, enraged, right? Oh, you're still not going to apologize? Then I'm gonna really punish you. Chopped off both legs. And then the monk was like, you know what? Again, those weren't really mine anyway, and I was gonna die anyway, right? Even you without doing this. But now, my death is something that was gonna happen anyway. But your killing of me and your accruing of negative karma is something that could have been avoided, but you have done it. Therefore, I am going to bless you, and I am going to atone for your sins in hopes that in the next life you will be redeemed. And then the monk died beheaded. Uh, very, very, very gruesome story, but I think that story tells a lot about how far you can take like non-attachment. So that's a pretty extreme story, right? So that's the story that actually got me thinking about like what would I think about when I die? What would I do when I die? And it's the contemplations after this story that I kind of recognized. Yes, I think since opening my eyes, I have lived every day without regret, and I can die happily. So that is the answer to this question, and I believe everybody can reach this level once again. Repeated topic in all of these videos. There's no inherentness in anything, and everything is up to perspective. On a lighter note, if a zombie apocalypse were to occur, how do you think you'd respond? Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. Zombie apocalypse isn't something that really naturally occurs to the non-American mind. So I'm gonna be honest. I don't really think about zombie apocalypses too much, but I do have an answer. If I become a zombie, there's no point in discussing because I'm gonna be eating brains. If I'm not a zombie, then um, there will be a lot of people suffering, right? So I think I would be doing exactly the same thing. I would be helping people in their crisis, and I would be helping people get over the loss of their family and their grief about the whole situation. I would help people de-stress so that we can collectively come to a more more enjoyable zombie apocalypse because again zombie apocalypse is also inherently neutral. There are no inherent goodness or badnesses in zombie apocalypses. And to be honest, climate warming and gun violence and extremism and terrorism and war, aren't those really not that far apart from a zombie apocalypse? That's what I think anyway. All right, thanks for this question, and I will see you in the next video.